Set nearly 1,000 years before the events in the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion and the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls Online lets you take part in the story set within the compelling history and deep lore of the Elder Scrolls franchise. Designed to be played exactly the way you want to play, you can start wherever you like. With no level restrictions and no subscription required, this massive world is yours to explore, alone or with friends. Choose a favorite location or storyline and jump in. From the capital cities of the Three Alliances to the magical Somerset Isles. From the Khajiit territory of Elsewhere to Morrowind, the home of the Dark Elves. From frozen Skyrim in the north to the endless swamps of Blackmarsh, adventure is everywhere. Are you ready to forge your own legend? Options for creating and personalizing characters in the Elder Scrolls Online are almost without limit. Choose from 9 different character races, with a 10th race option available as an add-on. Select from 6 unique classes and customize them to fill exactly the role you want to play. Want to create a high elf sorcerer who wears heavy armor and wields dual daggers for close quarters combat? Why not? Or maybe a Red Guard Dragon Knight who prefers light armor and a bow. It's completely up to you. Earn skill points as you adventure across Tamriel to improve your character, and master and customize your skills to match your style of play. As you explore the world, keep an eye out for sky shards. For every 3 of these rare crystals, you earn a bonus skill point to spend on your character. The in-game skill advisor provides recommendations on how to best spend your points at each level, based on the different roles available to your character. And you can always reset your skills and reallocate your points whenever you visit a major city, so you can build and play the exact character you imagine. Go anywhere, do anything. That's the freedom presented in the Elder Scrolls Online. The game scales your character to the content, so explore any dark cave or mysterious forest that intrigues you. Adventure on your own, or with friends, even if those friends have wildly different levels or belong to different alliances. Dive into the rich and varied story content as a solo player, or join a group to take on the most dangerous dungeons and boss monsters in the world. During your character creation, select one of the 3 alliances competing for power in this era: the Daggerfall Covenant, the Ebonheart Pact, or the Aldmeri Dominion. Each alliance features a unique and compelling storyline, but your choice never precludes you from playing with friends of different alliances. The Elder Scrolls Online is designed so you can travel anywhere at any time, no matter your level or alliance. Tamriel is a dangerous place. When you cannot sneak or talk your way out of conflict, you have to fight. The Elder Scrolls Online features an action-based combat system, reminiscent of the classic Elder Scrolls games. Use your skills, special abilities, and a combination of light and heavy attacks to defend yourself and your allies while you obliterate your foes. Unleash powerful synergy attacks when fighting as part of a group, and use block and dodge to reduce damage and avoid enemy attacks. If you prefer sneaking to direct combat, you can use stealth to evade detection, get around obstacles, or even set yourself up to unleash a potent surprise attack. Even the best solo player needs a little help now and then. Use the group and activity finder and the friends list to team up with other players for a dungeon or other adventure. The Elder Scrolls Online community is extremely welcoming to new players and invites them to join in. Our players go out of their way to help new players and show them the ins and outs of adventuring in Tamriel. This is especially evident within player guilds, a great way to meet others and develop lasting relationships that enhance your game. Join a guild to trade resources, tackle group content, or simply chat about the latest revelation of lore. There are also in-game guilds your character can join to receive new skill options and special rewards. The Fighters Guild, the Mages Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, and the Thieves Guild are all accessible through story content. And for a real challenge, join the Undaunted and earn a unique skill line and extra rewards for tackling group dungeons. Dungeons present some of the most difficult and dangerous content available in the Elder Scrolls Online. From the small dungeon delves that challenge solo players, to group dungeons that require 4 players to take on, to the ultimate 12-person trials. These strange and wondrous places offer amazing visuals, complex battles, and compelling opponents unlike anything else in the game. Once your character reaches 10th level and you have a better understanding of the game, The Elder Scrolls Online gives you the option to participate in a variety of player versus player, or PvP, content. Duels offer a more intimate PvP experience, where you can test your skills or try out a new character build in one-on-one combat against another player. Battlegrounds present short, intense combat, as 4-person teams take on 15-minute battles to earn achievements, experience, and special rewards. Alliance wars are large-scale battles, where the 3 alliances fight for control of the imperial capital of Cyrodiil. With siege weapons and massive armies, fight to capture and defend keeps and win the day. While you adventure and explore, don't forget to collect the valuable resources you find scattered throughout the world. These items can be used to craft weapons, armor, food, potions, and accessories that you can use to improve or further customize your character. Develop your skills in one or more professions and improve them by completing specialized crafting writs. The professions include alchemy, blacksmithing, enchanting, clothing, woodworking, provisioning, and jewelry crafting. The Elder Scrolls Online provides players with the ability to own and personalize homes for their characters all across Tamriel. Homes can be acquired by completing quests, purchased through the Crown Store, or bought with in-game gold. Houses consist of single-room abodes to multi-chambered mansions. But nothing beats the opulence or grandeur of a manor house, complete with luxury accommodations for your character and up to 24 guests. Home ownership doesn't end there. Craft furnishings and accessories to personalize, improve, and decorate your home. There's never been a better moment to jump in and start playing The Elder Scrolls Online. With access to a multitude of adventures all across the width and breadth of Tamriel, and the freedom to play wherever and however you like, it's time to begin your Elder Scrolls story.
Thanks, Maribel. That was really good. Welcome to ESO News. I am super excited. There's a lot of things going on here today that's going to go on about what's going on with the game and information on what's going on with Elder Scrolls. We have the White Strikes event going on here for, I think, the next 10 days. So make sure you get, if you're a PvP player, make sure you get involved with the event. That's an important thing to get involved if you're in that arena. That's some really good stuff going on here today, and looking into the daily rewards, as always, here for the daily login rewards. What you guys are going to receive, I'll get into that here in a little bit. Right now, you'll get an Aro Borrows Crown crate by logging into the channel of Twitch today. So make sure you get logged into Twitch. You'll get that Aro Borrows Crown crate. It's a great thing to getting to know what you're going to be receiving each day. The company's got just got the information in to the channel of Twitch, so it's a great thing. So those of you guys that are involved with Twitch, currently there are 14 million users that are currently logged into Twitch right now. So that's some good information to know. And if you're watching over on Facebook or Twitter, that's a great thing too. Hopefully you guys are able to discuss what's going on with the daily login rewards and how you're doing with the game. That's what I like to hear. I like to discuss in the game. I'm really, really, really concentrating, and I'm a firm believer that we should be able to communicate in the game. So that's kind of part of my job, is making sure you guys can chat in the chat lines inside of the game. So if you get a message from me, I'm basically just saying hi. I want to make sure that you can receive the message and to where I can receive a message back again. So that's a really good thing, to where we're able to communicate inside of the game. Getting further on in the in today's of what I'm looking into, because I wanna look into what the Drake of Blades name actually is. I want to look into Drake of Blades because, well, I think she's cute, and I would like a real life wife that is like Drake of Blades. She's in the game, and she's kind of one of the main characters in the third DLC. So looking after the on what the actual name is, that's a good indication that you guys can get her to me, and then we can be a whole Elder Scrolls family. It'll be beautiful. We can play the game together wherever in the world we are. It a dream come true. Really, really would. So did you get your Dragon Imp yet? Well, if you're in Steam, you'll be getting that Dragon Imp here pretty soon. Looking into the Steam system here a little bit ago, I do want to communicate the message of what's going on here next Friday. I want you guys that are Steam users, that are ESO players, I want you guys to pay attention to the daily rewards here of next Friday. So I guess I really want you guys to pay attention when you log in, because there's a lock screen in there for next Friday. So pay attention. That's for the rest of the month. I'm not for sure how that's going to affect our consoles, so just pay attention. You might not receive your daily rewards of what it quite possibly looks like. What I had done is I was in the Imperial sewers, and I was checking out the daily login rewards here earlier, and there's a lockbox in there, and so if you're paying attention to what you're going to be receiving inside of Steam, that's an important thing for us, because you don't want to miss out on your alliance points. You can miss out on 100,000 alliance points that are coming in. In the recent past, the Xbox users, and I'm assuming PlayStation users, have already received 100,000 alliance points, along with other alliance points that were given previously. Now, if you're in PlayStation currently, what I want you guys to do that are in the channels where you can chat, such as YouTube and Twitch, I want you to chat in the channel to where you explain what your daily reward is. That's an important thing, to communicate the message of what you are receiving, to where you can communicate to the other channels, so we know what you guys are receiving. We can't read minds and what you're receiving, so it's a good thing to know the information that you're receiving about the same thing that we're receiving. You're about a week off from both of us in Xbox and Steam. So what you guys are going to be receiving in Steam today is being able to preview the Gloom Spore crate. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to where just looking at the Gloom Spore crate and how that works. So that's an important thing inside getting to preview the Gloom Spore crate. That's a good learning experience looking in on how those crown crates actually work. Over in Xbox, you guys are going to receive some lethal poison bottles. Now, I want to explain over in the game when you go into the game tonight, if you are playing the game tonight over in IC or over in the Cyrodiil campaign, I want to explain to you guys, don't equip your lethal poison bottles on another alliance member, such as a Daggerfall Covenant, Aldemary Dominion, or Ebonheart Pact. I want to explain to you guys how you will want to equip your lethal poison over on an enemy NPC. That's an important thing to know. Like when you get into the game, if you're equipping that, make sure you unequip the poison bottles, because that's no fair to the other players that you're playing against, because it's good in combat and gives you an advantage of taking out other alliances, but that's not good in a sense that you're destroying the other players game while you're playing. You want to take out the enemy NPCs. You don't want to take out the other alliance players. So over on Xbox, you guys, we are going to receive 300 lethal poison bottles to where we can take out those enemy NPCs. That's going to be some sweet, sweet stuff. Now, there's a thing that I don't understand, which I'm going to explain right now. This is going to actually involve some study with the actual statistics on what the actual lethal poison bottles will do in the game. The first ladder deals 278 poison damage per second, and the second ladder has 180 poison damage per second. Now, how does that affect when we are combating the enemy's NPCs? How does that compute to how the color bar actually interacts with your player actually combating the enemy NPC? I've seen it over in the enemy NPCs. The AI, you want to make sure that you're not taking out other alliance players. This is an important thing of why I had said to not use the lethal poison on other alliance players, for the purpose that the AI is striking back of what I'm saying. The enemy NPCs, there are certain materials that the AI is striking back, and that can ruin our graphics in our game. So that's why I'm explaining the importance of you unequipping if you're going into battle against another alliance tonight. So that's a really, really good thing as we are gearing towards the more of the daily login rewards on what is here for tomorrow. What is tomorrow? It's a good thing to where you can see over on Steam. Most likely, you'll be receiving a Gloomspore Crown Crate over in Steam. All this week is Gloomspore Crown Crate week, and over in Xbox, it's going to be a little bit different. Like yesterday, how we received 8 fortifying meals. That's some good stuff. Good for your health, and good, gives you a good mind while you're playing. Makes you think of to eat a good meal before you play your game or after your game, whatever the case is. This is really, really, really nice thing, as I have pretty much looked into everything. I do want to explain that there have been some problems here earlier today. Today's date is February 23rd of 2024. This directly affects Elder Scrolls. So what I have to explain, the time the illegal connection occurred was on Sumner Avenue and Rice Street at 1:39 p.m. I was on the bus. There was a female that had a stroller, which she might have been trying to conceal what she was doing wrong. The individual was producing a hotspot at a bus stop. She left after the bus departed from the street. The female was said to be doing that in order to get beer. You see what I'm saying? She was trying to produce a hotspot to get beer. And that directly affects our Elder Scrolls connection. What I'm explaining is she was not paying for the connection. What she was doing was stealing from the internet. Is the That's the basic thing. And so I'm going to go further on to what's going on here in White Strikes. That's going to be some good stuff. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a quick break. Hopefully you guys are having a good drive and you're learning a lot about Elder Scrolls and growing within Elder Scrolls. welcome back to ESO News. This is going to be some funny stuff before we get into Break Plagues. Inside here in the YouTube chat, this is hilarious. So going on here of what's going on in the chat. What going on here? The user says hi. The user says, I thought it said Poppy Gold Road. Then I can't see what else. Poppy Gold Road. That's correct. Okay, so we've got some information here looking at Draca Blades. She is so cute. She is really cute. I'm hoping to get her. She'll be my wife. Draca Blades. And what's her name? Now she says here in fandom, as we're gonna look at the three different places that I'm gonna use to translate her name. What we're gonna use is fandom, UESP, and the name generator, quite possibly. Hopefully either in fandom or UESP, we're going to have that information to where we can calculate her name. If we don't have the name, what we'll have to do is we'll have to do some more study. And if we don't have the name, what I'll do is I'll generate a name, and we'll use the lettering from all of the information that we have in fandom and in UESP and the name generator for Elder Scrolls. So where we can figure out Draca Blade's name. That's an important thing to understand. This is going to be great. So this is a full body shot of Draca Blades and some of the information of her history. I'm interested in her history. So as some of the conversations that she has in the game says, am I? I'm being awkward, aren't I? I apologize. I'm not very good with people. I mean, I usually just avoid talking to people entirely. Quoted from Draca Blades. So the Draca Blades says here is a mysterious, she is mysterious, unnamed Imperial who serves with the Dragon Guard. Now over here, looking further into the Draca Blades, is she part of the Thieves Guild, or is she part of the Dragon Guard, or like previously what I'm talking about in her previous life inside of this character, this like basic made up character in the game. This is going to be interesting to where the name actually comes out. This is going to be awesome. Is her name Felina? I don't know. But the Draca Blades is mysterious unnamed Imperial who serves with the Dragon Guard. Quite possibly she's part of the Dark Brotherhood. However, that's unknown right now currently to me. So let's get some of her background information on her. A nameless and enigmatic assassin. So looks like she is part of the Dark Brotherhood. Now the assassin person in the 5th version of Elder Scrolls, everyone kind of knows who she is, but I forgot her name. So the Draca Blade serves as a member of the remnants of the Akaviri Dragon Guard. She is socially awkward, preferring not to talk with people or make conversation. So despite her placid demeanor, she is often accredited with creating brutal scenes featuring cultists, severed heads, and dead Daedra. Her personality is when the vestige meets her in person. What's the vestige? I'm not sure what the vestige is, but meets her in person apparently. She is awkward and shy with clear social anxiety, which she herself attributes to her high level of perception, preferring to understand people by their actions rather than in conversation, and is thus not the sort of person who has social interactions often. Nonetheless, she remains determined to drive out Molo Ball. Yeah, this is some good stuff. So the interactions here showing of the some of the history of the different quests that she is part of here, showing here in fandom is City on the Brink, Knowledge is Power, The Watcher in the Walls, The Lock and the Legion of Brands and Bones, The Imperial Standard, The Bleeding Temple, The Sublime Brazier. And so the dialogue here we have available from the quest lines in City on the Brink and a couple of the other dialogues. Not sure if that will show the information of what her name, revealing her name, but it says she has a nameless name that is not known. So I would like to know her name so you guys can get her to me in real life. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, so trivia. Drake of Shields is the former mentor of the Drake of Blades. So what information do we have on the Drake of Shields? So what is so Drake of Shields is her friend. So I need to get to know Drake of Shields. Because she's her friend. The Drake of Shields is an Imperial. So we're going to have to get to know some Imperials. The Drake of Shields is an Imperial and one of the last members of Vanguard. He is the former mentor of the Drake of Blades. He is found in each of the Alliance's bases. Okay, so what is that doing? Or what that was doing? Where did that go? I'm not sure what fandom is doing right now. Let's see here. So this is some information here of some conversations of the Drake of Shields. It says here, greetings, I'm sorry, I was looking for someone. I'll take my leave. Player says, what are you doing? The Drake of Shields says, pardon my intrusion, I assure you, I do not seek to meddle in your alliance's affairs. I'm looking for a compatriot of mine. She'd be dressed as I am. Repulsive, a bit abrasive at times. Have you seen her? The player asks the Drake of Shields, are you talking about the Drake of Blades? The Drake of Shields says, so it is true. I am the Drake of Shields, her associate in Cyrodiil. My orders were to avoid the city, but she sent me a cryptic farewell, along with all her notes. I had to make sure she was really gone. My thanks. Now, if you'll excuse me. Blah, 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 blah. The player again asks the Drake of Shields, what can you tell me about the Dragon Guard? Drake of Shields says, very little, I'm afraid. I mean no offense, but our order has learned the price of loose talk many times over. The Drake of Blades was very vocal on the subject, I must say. It is odd that she would even share her name with you. And the player asks, well, she never told me her real name. The Drake of Shields said, I am far from surprised. She valued her privacy. Now it appears she'll have all the privacy she ever wanted. I wish I could have said farewell. She was a difficult person, but I was proud to call her my friend. So, I guess one of her names is Friend. And the player asks, so you knew her well? Drake of Shields said, better than most. I was her mentor in the early days. She barely spoke when I first met her. Many of my comrades in the order swore I was mad for taking her as a pupil. She never gave me cause to regret it, though. Player then asks or says, that couldn't have been easy. Drake of Shields says, ha, no, it most certainly was not. But I knew it was worth it, even at the start. Once she started talking, it was always to ask the hard questions, because I said so. It was never enough. Ha! This one time she... Then the player asks, yes. Drake of Shields says, I am sorry, my friend. The loss is still a bit too close. Perhaps I can tell you that story another time. The player then says, she's not dead, you know. The Drake of Shields says, I know, and yet I'll never see her again. In some ways, it's worse, knowing that somewhere in this maze of old sewers, my dearest friend sits alone with no one to comfort her in her melancholies, or laugh at her gibs, whatever the gibes. But you're right, of course. So we got a little bit of information on some history of the Drake of Blades from the Drake of Shields. So we'll get further into the Dark Brotherhood here in a little bit. What is her name? Very interesting. So she's reclusive. She's reserved. And it says here after talks about the Drake of Shields, to the Elder Scrolls Online developer, Matt, you're just being weird with fandom. How this is coming in. Okay, so where is this? According to the Elder Scrolls developer Matt Muir, the Drake of Blades is autistic. With the trivia, also Blades is voiced by Ariana. So we could go that go as far as her name's Ariana, but the voice actress is Ariana Retner. That's very good to know. Now Ariana, she might know what the Drake of Blades' real name is. Will Ariana reveal that to us? That is the question. So with that, I'm going to take a real quick break, and I would like to get to know the Drake of Blades. So if you know the Drake of Blades, let me know. I'm waiting. And hopefully you're enjoying your drive today. I'm going to get back here in a little bit. Be right back. Just got back. What's going on with Poppy Gull Road? Well, looking into Draco Blade's name, the only information that is available is friend. It's going to go in here. Rank of blades. ESP. All right. So got UESP on here. And do you guys see? I see. So exciting. So the Drake of Blades here, as it says in UESP, is a socially awkward Imperial and a member of the Dragon Guard. She hopes to save the Imperial City from being pulled into Cold Harbor, although she has no stake in the Alliance War. Okay. So the related quest showing here is the City on the Brink of Just Power, the Watcher in the Walls, the Lock in the Legion of Bones and Bones, the Imperial Standard, the Bleeding Temple, the Sublime Brazier. So here's some information on some discussions from before in City on the Brink with the Drake of Blades and the player. Drake of Blades, after speaking with your Alliance's General Acklash, she will tell you where she'll be. Now, does General Acklash know Drake of Blades' name? That might be some some classified information. I don't know. Drake of Blades says, "Meet me among the tradesmen. Quickly, if you please. Your general was telling you to keep an eye out for me, right? Here I am." Player says, "So you're the Dragon Guard I was told about?" Drake of Blades says, "Right. I'm sorry. Introductions should come first. I apologize. I am the Drake of Blades." Player says, "The Drake of Blades says, Blades. Yes, I'm a member of the Dragon Guard, or I should say the true Dragon Guard. We were driven underground by the Empress Regent Olivia. Just as well, we are sworn to serve the true heir of the dragon. She is certainly not that." You know, I have to agree with the Drake of Blades. If you've ever met Empress Regent Clivia, she's kind of rude. You going into the Imperial City dungeon, she is rude. Really. Really, she's like snotty. And so the player asks, "What are you doing down here in the sewer?" Drake of Blades says, "I'm conducting an investigation. The only investigation that matters. Your friends have provided a great distraction with all their fighting and dying, but I've hit a wall. And I need your help. I wouldn't ask if it weren't important. Believe me." The player asks, "Why should I help you?" Drake Blade says, "Because you're not an idiot. You're not an idiot, are you? Sorry. I'm looking into a plot. The plot. Willem Ball is looking for something powerful. I fear that if we don't find out what it is, we'll all pay dearly." Player then asks, "Looking for something? Can you be more specific?" Drake of Blade says, "Truthfully, no, not yet, but we can change that. I need an extra set of eyes and ears. You look strong, reasonably capable, assertive, so on and so on. If we pool our assets, we should be able to foil Mullen Ball's plans. Player then asks, where would we even start? Dragon Blades then says, in the districts, there are 6 in all. Mullen Ball has tried to cover his tracks by scattering his operation, hiding it in plain sight, but he's prideful and sloppy. He's left clues. We just need to find them and piece the puzzle together. Simple. Player then says, and if I decide to help you, how would I get to the districts? The Dragon Blades then says, your clumsy militiamen have staked out routes through the drainage system. They rolled out ladders to mark the entrances. The hub is just over there. Can't miss it. It's filthy, but surprisingly efficient. So what do you say? Will you help me? Player then says, yes, I will help you. Dragon Blades then says, I can understand if you're dubious, skeptical. I would be. All I ask is that you go to the districts and stay watchful. I'll do the same. Small beginning as such. Simple. If you're half as capable as I think you are, we'll be meeting again soon. Okay, so going over here, blah, blah, blah. You feeling all right? Must be difficult. Why do you need my help? So it talks about Akatosh's heir arrives, blah, 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 blah. Something about the wormy people digging up bodies. Here. Okay. I just want to know her name. Let's see here. This spoiler alert. Watch out for Ignatius. He's old. So apparently we're going to see Father Ignatius here later on tonight. I don't like to spoil the surprise before the surprise comes, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So is there any information on Father Ignatius? Okay. Ignatius, you got anything for us? Father Ignatius. So it looks like Father Ignatius got taken over just like Sergianus did. Like these. Turn these creatures into real people. Okay, so mhm, okay, so this might be like some cryptic information. So we're looking at Drake of Blades' possible name. Information we have is Father Ignatius, Molag Bal, Zodos Bell. Okay. And Uzaruz. So probably Uzaruz was like in the past was like, ha ha, I've got them. But in the past, Jacob Blade's parents met a person like Uzaruz. Like, so what this tells me here is that her name is within Uzaruz and Zodos Vel. So we have Uzaruz, Zoo, Velruz, Velruzu, Velruza, Velruza, Velruza. Velruza is Draco Blights? Velruza. 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 How I got that name, I don't know. Velruza. 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 Now we got to speak to Father Ignatius to see if we have recorded information if Jacob Blade's name was previously Velruza. So that we're gonna do some study. Gonna take a real quick break. Hopefully you're enjoying your drive, and I'll be right back. I'm just gonna for taking a break, but Father Ignatius, that's a great thing. Have you ever been in the church before? That's absolutely amazing. Thinking about Saint Ignatius, that's amazing. So, what information do we have on Father Ignatius? Does Father Ignatius tie in with Saint Ignatius? It's a good question. I'll be right back. Wow, this is some breaking news. What I'm doing here is I'm going to flip over into ElderScrollsOnline.com. Have you logged in to your game yet to get your your login rewards? Hopefully you have. That's gonna be some good stuff. So I'm gonna get into what the live discussion is, and in today's Elder Scrolls universe. And looking at Tales of Tribute today in the discussion, the discussions that's going on in Tales of Tribute today. And looks like the live discussion going in here of what they're talking about. Mora is at the top of the watch list for worst ESO game experiences. And getting into the discussion. Patron effect that makes the game wacky by causing game states that shouldn't happen at early stages of the game. Check patron effect that makes further abuse of the game's reshuffle. Check power matters too much. Check because power matters. The necessity to employ strategies that give the opponent wacky bonuses. Check numerous contracts that does cost enough, causing blowout turns out of nowhere. Check. I've gotten so many hate whispers using Mora recently. Some of these top 50 ranked players on PCNA are sending me these rude messages too. Kind of amusing. At least the matches end pretty quickly with this deck. I've had 45-minute player matches with Rahin. Let's say that speeding up games, the designer's stated objective, is a good cause. And I don't think that it is a good cause in the vast majority of games, but let's say that it is generally speaking because some games could be sped up to most people's benefit. Wow, that sure is a fancy deck. I didn't understand how Mora successfully meets that objective. A number of games the patrons use isn't meaningfully impacting game time. My average ranked game time is 9 minutes and 57 seconds, and my average casual game time is 9 minutes and 21 seconds. There are some games where a couple of minutes shaved off, not enough to make a big deal out of, but enough to see what happens when someone runs the Mora scums. There's a couple of minutes time saved, really worth people's dignity. Is it worth creating a new form of bad game experience? Was it all really worth it when already existing game pieces could have been adjusted to fix the time issue? Some people legitimately don't like longer games, and that's fine. But wacky hot air balloon ride style games where power matters was a bad solution. Increasing animation speed is a great solution. Rejecting game pieces which encourage toxic, repetitive gameplay patterns is a good solution. Increasing the number of options in the tavern is a possibly good solution. Hearthstone is a dirty word. Remember that. Is the jail that people go to when they don't have anything better to do. You give people something better to do when you emulate Hearthstone? No. You just become like Hearthstone. And thus, without quality, That makes you special. My experience is that the patrons use doesn't generally save time, and the times that I've found it saving time, the games are often incredibly one-sides or unfun due to blowout scenarios. For example, I won a Mora game on my 4 turn or something because I scummed a currency exchange victory after putting it into my deck on the shuffle with Mora. So I don't really see how the patron can be taken in good faith. That said, I certainly acknowledge that my general experience could be different enough from other players' general experience. Despite that, I think it would have been more wise to strike at the root of game time issues such as animation speeds or toxic gameplay patterns caused by the regime button rather than make something new that generates an all new negative reaction from a different group of players. I only played a few PvP tribute games with this deck to get the achievement for the card upgrade. I don't really like the deck either because to me, a lot of the cards negatives far outweigh the positives. I understand the deck is supposed to be Kiss Curse due to it representing a Daedric entity, as there is always a price to pay for the power. But many of the cards seem to be more curse than beneficial. Only a few that were mentioned have the potential to being good, like the huge power gen from only giving the opponent 2 coins. Unfortunately, I think that the concept of Mora would have lent itself better to effects like Sigic Scrying or Almalexia card refreshing. I can understand the barter and blood concept being used for the Daedra, but this particular gameplay style would have been better represented by Shio than a Daedric prince chiefly concerned with omnipotence. So the theme feels off to me. One thing that I can say is successful about the Moral Patron is that it does make combo matters. I don't always like combos, but they are a core part of the game. So making combos makes sense. That said, the way that combos have been made to matter is in large part due to cheap and abusable contract cards that add too much of a luck factor to games. So combos were made to matter in an incredibly unfun way that rivals the abusable nature of even the sorcerer key contracts, which are god awful. Another thing that I should touch on is how the power generating starter cards inhibit game progression. Again, another simple design change that could help prevent games from being jammed up and taking more time than necessary. I don't understand how Mora successfully meets that objective. A number of games the patrons use isn't meaningfully impacting game time. My average ranked game time is 9 minutes and 57 seconds. And my average casual game time is 9 minutes and 21 seconds. There are some games where a couple of minutes shaved off, not enough to make a big deal out of, but enough to see what happens when someone runs the moral scums. Is a couple of minutes time saved really worth people's dignity? Is it worth creating a new form of bad game experience? I often play Mora when I want a quick match. When I am there, just hunting Luna, the daily reward. I hardly ever use the patron itself, just the cards. And this deck is probably as stupid a deck as Crow. Just spam it and hope that your opponent does not get the good cards. But then it does absolutely speed up the match like none other. Fast games are the fun games. You want slow games? Please don't queue for top games. You didn't read my post whatsoever. Speaking of the theme of the Daedric Prince, neither Hermaeus Mora nor Sheograth fits in the activity of bargain for power. The former is the Daedric Prince of secrets and knowledge, and the latter of madness. Calculator Vile is the prince of bargain and deal, and the negative effect of the cards certainly makes the deal fair. And in accordance with that, the prince is neutral in human affairs. Where's the dog? And actually, what you have mentioned is exactly how this deck reduces the time. The most tedious combination of decks from my past experience would be Rahim, Shizik, Almalexia, Druid King, and if you try to get a full hand of Almalexia and Sijic Order, and keeps donating cards, confine coffee cards, shuffle cards, and replace cards, you won't even be able to finish your turn before the time runs out. That opening the card window and selecting things and pressing confirm button are all time wastes. So in comparison with that, Mora is much more time saving. Thank you for mentioning about calculator bias. I was thinking way too generally. Regarding how time is saved by blowout games, it seems silly to mention how time is saved just because someone won extremely early. That is because the amount of time that it takes to play a game is being used as a measure of fun. I don't see how games that are decided quickly are fun whatsoever. It can be because Mora added a stupid card to someone's deck because someone got too much value from an uncontested ANSI patron flip, or because Siege Weapon Volley smacked someone in the face over and over with the help of Sijic cards to reset the shuffle. The goal is satisfying games, right? Not just fast games, because a game is being fast. In and of itself doesn't mean much. There are the decks that you mentioned, and also Crow. Crow has a lot of long combo chains, and the draw effect can be tedious. And this point is where your comment sort of rolls into what I'm saying. Instead of making universal changes to the game that I could speed up all decks, the designers just went for a band-aid fix, which doesn't even necessarily speed up games that well. Because the underlying issues, such as animation speeds, remain in the game. What if a person wants faster games, but doesn't necessarily like the playstyle offered by Mora cards? I think it's fair to say that a number of people are in that boat. I agree on the fact that the amount of time of one match is indeed being used as a measure of fun. Generally speaking, however, let's not assume that quick match and direct power gain is the only cause of fun, and that everyone have the same way of having fun in the gameplay. However, let me just come back to the duration of the game. To find out it's faster with Mora, we can test out by doing comparison experiment, which could take such a long time that I cannot afford to spend, but a thought experiment would be less time consuming. Choose whatever combination of 4 patrons, excluding Mora as the comparison, then randomly change one of them into Mora. Since Mora is relatively direct power gain, this means quicker to gain prestige. Generally speaking, and skipping all the animation of draw cards, shuffle, once you've played the card, there's less things that you can do compared with playing other cards, because Mora gains power and not many gold. The opposite of Mora also makes your opponent quicker to gain access to more expensive cards, which again could take more rounds to become true if otherwise, and that could probably be equivalent to what you said about early stage of the game in terms of time, but actually late stage in terms of your card decks. Despite of what developers says about it being a band-aid for speed games, it itself indeed brings a new mechanism into the card game, the counter benefit to your opponents, enforcing acquiring cards by both sides. There's no problem with some people wanting fast games and regarding that as fun, but I myself do enjoy a lot of new mechanism here. On top of that, it's not completely impossible to win a game in which one of the patrons is Mora without relying chasing for Mora cards, and that how to do that is where I find my fun in the game, regardless of the time spent on it. Regarding the goal of a satisfying game, I think it's just an empty wish. Satisfactory is purely subjective, and we all know that people always have more or less of greed, or more satisfactory than satisfying in this case. Inside. Therefore, the complete and absolute satisfactory is not likely. That being said, one is always free to do things in which, like he or she finds fun by, like himself or herself. And under the structure of certain sets of rules, as in game, or realities, as in real life. But when it comes to interact with others, there can always be some non-alignments between the two or more, Matthew 18:20, entities on the matter of fun. In the case of Tot, I'm pretty sure that even now, Rajin is still more hated than Mora. Who's Rajin? Or being disturbed by your opponent. Because that gaining strong and multiple combos is simply the typical thing that can bring a huge and instant sense of satisfactory. Imagine ruining that with a sudden bewilderment drawn by the crow. And that card games becomes one side blowout. That's where it is fun for some people, for the same reason mentioned above, and normally would bring discourage to the other. But it mostly is equally probabilistic, though there are some other factor that you can do to influence that. And let's not forget about that people, friends, students, to enjoy winning a gamble. And those people tend to call all the actions from the opponent that involves increasing the chance of whining as trickery or cheating or some other things that gives the sense of not recognizing these actions as valid. We probably have to ban thinking in games so that the fairness of gambling can be finally met. But in that case, the game will become pure gamble, which definitely does not interest me. I agree that tot has always be some probabilistic factor within, and that Mora deck just make it more unstable. But that's exactly where the idea of counter gambling takes effect, isn't it? Thank you for the thoughtful comment. I've quoted the parts that I'm responding to below, and below this is my response. Regarding the time of Mora, I think that the best experiment would be to find actual game times where Mora was a patron and compare them to games where Mora isn't a patron. Generally speaking, I think that your thought experiment is the correct thinking on average. That is to say that when looking at games where power generation is available to games where it isn't available, the games where it is available are quicker on average. And although I think that Mora does conform to that generalization, Mora has some dimensions to it which also may lead to the tendency for longer games. So here are some of the reasons as to why I think that Mora doesn't necessarily hit the mark. The first thing is a quality that you mentioned. Mora can make games unusual. So we may find ourselves making more unnecessary calculations than usual to figure out the best way to proceed after something like Knight Commander or Ansie's Victory is added to both players' decks in the early game. The games could end faster if players knew exactly how to handle the situations. But correct handling of them is type of novelty that takes up time. The patron can be used to slow down the game via options such as adding agents to both players' deck that use up power to remove. Specifically, Tribunal, Sentinel, or Stubborn Shadow being added to players' decks and inhibit gameplay because of their bulkiness and inherent lack of ability to add economy. And I have used Mora in that exact way. The patron costs 3 power, which impacts the prestige winning condition. The patron starter card is a power generating starter card which inhibits early purchases and encourages a more passive early game of making writs of coins. The designers attribute some deepness to the gameplay of the patron, to choosing to not play cards in order to not give opponents bonuses. So sometimes Mora does encourage more passive play. Players can sometimes have bigger and more complicated turns after an opponent has given them a bunch of different resources via Mora cards. The use of more resources may take more time, and especially in cases where someone is presented tavern cards that best lend themselves to defensive options. So it may not be exactly clear how to use those resources to begin with. So I think that these dimensions to Mora are worth considering when seeing how successful of a patron that is, especially compared to other patrons with good power generating options, which don't have as much of the above mentioned baggage. And to be very clear again, I agree that Mora probably saves time on average, but I don't really think that it is all it was designed to be, nor a good go to for players who want a fast option. Also, to be clear on a different matter, I'm not personally bemoaning that Mora isn't fast enough. I don't like fast strategies. I critique its design for introducing more power generation, but also critique the patron for being relatively wacky and chance based compared to other ones. That's because of the patron ability and also abundant combo providing contracts that are cheap. Regarding the types of fun that games should offer, I have some thoughts written down at the following post. You can write it all down all you want. I don't see fun as the chief concern for a game. I use the language of fun sometimes because it is the perspective that designers and most other people come from. I think that strategy games should be trying to achieve something more than fun. With respect to my link to post, I would find Mora to be a form of gameplay that is too divergent from Tot as a whole. And of course, none of the above means that other game issues can't be changed. A number of other issues, including game time, could be improved by things like improved balance. Likewise, a number of changes that I suggest to the game could also make the game more fun in different ways, generally speaking. I wouldn't personally be permissive of types of fun like increased coin flips and bullet style games, where some players derive enjoyment from more canned, quick style games like Marvel Snap. I don't think that my goals and the goals of the designers for Tot are mutually exclusive. The issue is that this community has spoken and they want luck to trump skill. They'd much rather a fast game that boils down to winning a coin toss than a longer game where skill and strategy come into play. As such, we're seeing no nerfs to Druid, a rebuffing of Organum, and this deck coming into existence, where literally the first turn can make or break which player gets lucky and wins. It's a shame. But apparently, some people find I got the wrong cards and lost through no fault of my own. Fun, and there's a level playing field and enough time that either player can use superior skill to overcome luck. That's not fun. So now the devs are catering to the brain dead. I kind of like it. It does speed up games, and I like how it adds a new aspect to the game. Some cards I've had to skip in order not to give my opponent an advantage. I also like that it doesn't speed up games. Matches are done so quick. regardless if I lose or win. I'm just happy to get another coffer so fast. The problem is, the people playing competitively on the LB don't want to throw away their score because of poorly balanced game design. They need ways for casuals to get coffers that don't boil the whole game down to luck and competitive. It's really frustrating being on a hot streak in competitive, playing good games against good players, and then running into a Mora spammer who boils the entire game down to RNG and removes almost all skill from the equation. No one good is picking Mora in competition. The top players abandon it quickly because it's too much risk. Card games always have an element of luck. But Druid and Mora are literally game running RNG farms. Even Crow, Palin, and Organum, commonly cited as RNG decks, can be countered and combated by skilled players on the wrong end of luck. Druid and Mora, it's just who gets lucky on hand 1 or 2. And then they have a massive edge over the player what did not get lucky. They should not be able to get over 10 level power on turn 1 or 2 based solely on a tavern luck. That's insanity. Mora is the single biggest mistake the devs made in TOT. It is absolutely brutal, and it is close to purely RNG reliant as it gets. It reminds me of the early days of TOT with the race to rally, but far, far worse. Unfathomable Secrets is such an OP card. It's unbelievable that it is in the game. 4 coins for 5 power, with the setback being 1 card to your opponent. If you can combine that with Unsettling Aura or Chromatic Reservoir, you are hammering out 10 to 11 level power between 2 cards and can go up to 16 to 17 level power with a 4-card combo just on those 2 cards, regardless of the 2 cards you're combining them with. With the setback being your opponent gets a 2nd card. Woohoo! Oh, thank you for destroying me in 1 turn. I'll put these 2 cards to good use. Either dial back the power, preferably, or make the setback actually mean something. I don't even think if you made these cards way more expensive, 9 to 10 coin, it would have any effect on them. If you get the right Druid cards, you are already playing with 8 to 11 gold by your 4th turn. Yeah, the contracts in Mora were thought out poorly. They just want players doing more things as a way to artificially reduce the time it takes to play a game. So draw an extra card here, get an extra coin there, do more things, and therefore end game more fast. It's lowbrow to design in such a way, but especially lowbrow because they could just fix core game problems like the tavern. Not only having enough viable normal cards in it by increasing tavern size to 6 rather than 5 options, or they could get rid of power generating starter cards to help prevent players from being screwed over on their turn 1 or 2. I generally think that it could be that simple, but they chose poor band-aid fixes. I do have to agree. The most desperate players seem to pick Mora, and I have a lower opinion of the deck itself. I do agree with a lot of your points, but for me, the game goes by so quick that it just doesn't matter. I find Crow Red, Eagle spam so much more upsetting. I quit the game because I realized that I left myself dead on board after not paying close enough attention. Personally, I think Mora is a very interesting patron and certainly pushes a risk and reward playstyle. The thing is, you really need to play the game very aware and observe what's going on. When your cards are the ones of the opponent are shuffled and so on and so on and so on. How are the Capitals doing? It's a bit like counting cards at a blackjack game. If there's a strong card in the tavern and your deck is about to get shuffled, while opponent this has 1 or 2 rounds left on cards, the patron can be very strong. And you thought I was dumb. My only issue with it is the very harsh backlash from the cheap cards because it makes sense more useful. Letting your opponents draw 2 cards is such an incredibly strong side effect that you want to barely ever get that card anyway. Gifting coins or might is less problematic in my opinion. Moore and Rajit certainly make an interesting pair when you could force your enemy to draw bewilderment cards. But no game lasts long enough for this tactic to really play out. Ow. You gonna play Amho? Amho. What's Amho? It's Tales of Tripping game. I've had 30-minute plus player matches with almost every deck because some players act like taught as grandmaster level chess, and the very opening move merits running down the timer to 1 second. I really, really wish we had the option to block people. That's a I still think giving each player the ability to veto one deck would improve the game enormously and add a bit of spice. If you hated Mara, you could veto it. Yes, this should not be possible against players who have only the 4 base decks. Such good live discussion. Hopefully you're having a good drive. enough the Tales of Tribute talk. What I want to do here is get more further in back to the Dragon Imp. Maybe visit Father Ignatius or later on. Oh, the unveiling! That's magic. Did you know that's magic? Did you know that was magic? Just got back. We are about to have a baby, give birth to a baby. Let's check in on the birth. Oh, it hurts! Oh, the baby! Get that baby out! Get that baby out! I don't want that imperial baby! No! Oh, oh! Congratulations, Elder Scrolls parents, and your Elder Scrolls baby that has just been born. A beautiful, beautiful little imperial girl, Lucia. Now the question is Lucia the Drake of Blades? Good question. I'm going to take a real quick break. I'm going to get ready for later on tonight playing the game here. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the drive and start looking into what the possible name of the Drake of Blades. It's an important thing for us to see what name quite possibly of a character NPC is. Great stuff. Congratulations, Elder Scrolls parents, on your newborn Elder Scrolls baby, Lucia.